Hey everybody, welcome back to the Keep It Simple podcast. If you're catching this, you've joined us for episode 16. And if you're watching this on YouTube, our guest today needs absolutely no introduction. It's Michael MacArthur Meeks, the one and only MMM. And Michael, many of you know, many in our tribe know Michael, have known Michael for generations. But for those who do not, Michael is a teacher, and I guess full-time teacher, but also a full-time woodworker, which is kind of two full-time jobs plus some. Incredible husband and father to two precious boys, but then also a gifted musician, can write, can sing, can play multiple instruments, and draw. Hidden talent. Incredible artist all the way around. So with that, Michael, thanks for making time for us. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've enjoyed listening to all of the podcasts, the season 1 deal and all of the ones so far on this one. So it's been really fun to listen to. Yeah,
thanks. That So I don't know where we want to start. We were laughing right before we came on, so we were talking about how this episode will air, I guess, the Saturday before New Year's, but then we're going to be together at Charity Lucas's wedding.
Yes.
And so Michael got a good chuckle out of that about the bride's man being a bride's man.
Yeah, because I said bride's groom, but it can't be bride's groom. That's just the groom, right?
Yeah,
that's
that would be the
term. Yeah,
that'd be on the whole other.
You're not the groom. You're not the groom.
yeah. So that's love for sure, right?
Yes.
So that's love. You'll get a kick out of this. We haven't discussed this off camera. So I got notification a couple days ago that I'm also required to go to the bachelorette party.
Oh no. Yeah. Charity, what are you doing to this man? Yeah. You know he loves you. Yeah, he's gonna be there for you.
So
make
much.
Him go on the Bachelorette. You're gonna have to do like tummy dancing and all the different nail painting and
I don't dance.
Go to a winery. I don't know what. I guess Charity's Bachelorette will be a little different than what I'm picturing.
Yeah, so, I'm sure it will be legit. But love is love, man. So enough about me and Charity. Charity had her own episode. Get off of Michael's episode, here, Charity. Yeah, get that junk out of here. So what have you been up to, dude? So catch us up on life. What's going on?
Yeah, so like Ben said, I am a teacher, so that takes up a lot of my time. I teach first grade. This is actually my 6th year teaching first grade already. It's flown by. I've been, so first grade all 6 years and in the same classroom at the same school all 6 years. So it's a big blessing. It was just one of the schools that I student taught at that I really wanted to be at. And so the Lord intervened in that way to where a job opened up after I finished my student teaching. And so I am teaching there. As Ben said, I do have a woodworking business that started out as just I want to make something, and Emily said, "Can you make this for me?" And I said, "Probably not." And she said, "Yes, you can." And so with the help of my dad, I made a table for her, and that just kind of moved into an old house that needed things here and there, shelves, and so started making that and just turned into a business that takes up as much of my time as teaching does. Mm-hmm. And married to Emily, which we are going on 6 years in October of marriage. Wow. Wonderful 6 years. It's one of those things, at some point in my life I pictured not ever being married, and now I was like, how was I not married? It's just, such a blessing to be married to her. She's a huge encouragement to me all the time, and I'm very blessed to have her in my life. And we have 2 boys. One is Maddie. He was born 2021. Believe it or not, he was a planned pregnancy before everybody got pregnant during the pandemic. It was we were going to try to have a baby, and then the pandemic hit. And then Obi was born 7 months ago yesterday. So 2 boys. Broke the Meeks line of having the Meeks male has had a female first. Jun calculated up one time. It was going on like 200 years going back.
What?
To where they had females first, and we broke it and then had another boy. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So we were all expecting a girl the whole time and just had a boy. So, but he's beautiful. He's so fun to have, and it's fun now because he's like forming sentences and he'll interact or like want to watch a football game with me, that type of thing. So it's really sweet. Oh, I'm losing my voice here.
Have you taught him to say "Go Dogs"?
Absolutely not. He knows how to say "Go Jackets" really well, though. And he
has
says it all the
Emily
time.
taught him to say "Go Dogs"?
No, I
Yes.
will say that he has the Dr. Seuss book "Go Dog Go." Mm-hmm. He does call that book "Go Dogs," and so
All right.
I make fun of him all the time, tell him I'm going to spank him if he says it again. I'm just kidding.
So
But
you're partially raising him right, at least.
no.
Yeah.
He's learning the true character of being a Georgia Tech fan.
Yes.
It takes a lot of patience and just life skills that you have to learn. You just don't get to win back-to-back national championships,
Yeah.
Toil and really work for it.
Yeah. So let's start. I guess we can go back. I want to kind of talk through your story. For those of you that don't know, Michael was raised a family, kind of old school family in the church that I served down in Georgia. And Michael was a senior in high school when the previous youth pastor, Charlie Judd — we need to have C. Judd on this show, man. When Charlie transitioned out, went to Worship Leader School, Colorado, I think it was, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yep.
went out to Colorado, and I had filled in a chaperone deal for Charlie, the ski trip, the winter before he left. Do you remember that? And he put me in a room with you and Lyndon and Josh and Les, maybe? I think Les was in there.
Well, if it may have been, yeah. Well, Les probably would have been with Trevor. I don't know if he was on it.
Trevor would have been with us. I can't remember. But anyway, he told me later, like, I put you in with the bad kids. You were the only one in there that actually wasn't bad. You would just instigate it and then step back and film it while all the others did it, usually.
Just as guilty, really. Just as guilty. I could I felt like I had my hands clean.
Yeah, but little did we know, I had no clue. I was doing administrative work, and I don't remember who backed out. Some male chaperone who could ski couldn't go, and just kind of literally the day before, 2 days before, Charlie chucked me into the mix. We had a great time, and then little did we know that a few months later he'd be headed out. And so then y'all's senior year was my first year then, I guess, in student ministry. And I remember at the beginning it was like y'all were not bought in because y'all were Charlie's guys. Like you had 4 years maybe or so of relationship with him.
He came my freshman year of high school, so it would have been 3 full years.
3 full years, yeah,
like literally hanging out almost every day.
Truly. And then after that, I distinctly remember the time. And so you all graduated high school, and with the space between didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the first Sunday after the rollover, and your dad, Mickey comes to youth, and he's like, Michael is beside himself. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, he thinks he should come. It's like, what do we do now? And So we launched the Space Between. You were playing and singing music then. When did you begin to play guitar and sing? When did you pick up on? Was that high school?
That was my freshman year of college. Actually.
Of college, okay.
Yeah. So just going back to the year rollover that you were talking about, when it really hit me, I'm sure it was the first Sunday, like my dad was talking about, but I remember being at home because Lyndon had gone off to college. Josh may have been, if he came, he may have been at youth with y'all because they were younger than me. Or Lyndon would have been at youth. Les had gone off to college, and I remember watching the Super Bowl by myself. And I was like, oh, this, just all my friends are either at youth or away at college. I just felt so, it was such a strange feeling because I'd always watched that game surrounded by, 100 youth in all these different settings. And that was just a strange time. It made me feel like I was needing something more. As far as music goes, I always liked to sing. I never tried to sing like in front of people or anything, but I got to a point where just songs would get stuck in my head all the time. And I was working at Johnny Carino's actually at the time, and one of the guys I worked with there, I guess I had been singing something under my breath and didn't even realize it. That happens now all the time. But he was like, "Man, you can really sing. Did you know that?" And I was like, "No, I don't know. I mean, I like to sing." And he was like, "No, you can really sing." I was like, "Huh." And so then having all the time by myself like I did because I wasn't in youth, and both my parents are volunteering there, I started playing like a karaoke track on my laptop back to myself and then recording it on, I guess, either my computer or my phone or something. And doing that every now and then and trying to listen back to it and not liking it at all. And then one time my parents came in and heard me. And I don't really know how it got started from there, but I started singing at church. She must have said something to somebody, and word got out, and so I started singing at church. I was really nervous to do that, but then I started realizing singing with the praise band at first that if I was actually going to play music and all, I needed to learn how to play guitar. So I really just trapped myself in my room for a month and learned the basic chords, and still even today I can really only play guitar just to sing, which is what I love doing. But yeah, then the space between started, and gosh, Connor, I know everybody that listens to this podcast loves Connor, but he was so gracious and patient with me. I mean, not even just me being an arrogant, I don't even know the word then in my life, but also like genuinely not knowing how to play. So it was like genuinely not knowing how to play and also thinking I'm awesome at it. And he was having to put up with that in addition to worshiping. And so it was just, I love that dude. So it was a big blessing for me in my life at that time.
Yeah, he's lovable. And that, you all wrote songs together, you recorded songs together. Still to this day, Rain is on my phone. It's a bop. I mean, even all these years later, that's a great song, man.
That's actually the only song we wrote together and recorded together. But
is that right?
Yeah. Like cover songs all the time, but that's the only one we originally wrote. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. That song, and then you and Mackenzie singing, I guess it was at Connor and Mindy's wedding.
Oh, the Thinking Out Loud?
Absolute gold. Just gold.
That one was fun. That was, we had gotten, or I guess they wanted us to sing, so that's what we were doing. But Jordy recorded that on his phone. He kept it so still the whole time because it looks like it's on a tripod.
Yeah.
He was standing there in front of us, and all the people were behind that arrived to the wedding early.
Yeah. And that's Jordy too, though, right? That we got to get Jordy. He's busy with school and stuff, but we have to absolutely get Jordy on the podcast. So in your kind of spiritual formation, music had a big piece, a big part of that. What I remember is you going to Orlando to was it a worship leaders conference maybe or something?
Yeah, that's what it was, a worship conference. So even like people that mix the soundboards or things like that would go as well. Sound engineers, audio engineers, they were there as well.
But you came back from that different.
Yeah.
Let's talk through that a little.
So that trip, I realized, I think that music, me singing in that time, brought on a lot of pride and selfishness and just wanting it to be all about me, which, when I was playing out at a bar or something, that's not, I guess, terrible. It shouldn't be that way. But when I'm leading worship in the black room, and that's not how it should be. I should be worshiping. And so something that was said on that trip is that we don't call it a stage because a stage is for performance. We call it a platform because a platform is for, encouraging others and uplifting. And so that that struck me and made me think, oh, there's something I'm not doing right. And that was a start, I think, in the step of getting on the road to being a believer. I still, even looking back now, I don't think that was, like I said, a step in the right direction, but I don't think that was something I needed to hear then, but I don't think I wouldn't say that was when I was saved.
Okay.
I think that came actually after I moved to Augusta. I remember, I think y'all were going to a ski trip after I had moved up here, and y'all stopped at a Chick-fil-A in Augusta, and so my parents called me, and I met y'all up there and talked to you, and that's when I asked to be baptized. But really so like I said, sorry, I'm rambling. That
no, you're not at all. It's awesome. Go ahead.
Led me in the right direction. I could tell that was the Lord working in my heart in that time, pointing me towards Him, giving me to where I was seeking. But there really wasn't until premarital counseling, believe it or not, where our first session, just a wonderful couple in our church here, just both like the husband or the man is like over a lot of the Bible studies in our church and just so wise and caring, and then the woman is over all the women's Bible studies, and she's a huge influence on Emily's life. And so we did premarital counseling with them, thankfully. And the first question that he asked, his name's Fred, and the first question that Fred asked, and he looked at me first, he said, "You die, you're walking up to heaven. What would you say to Jesus as to why you deserve into heaven?" And I said, I thought about it, and I started going, well, I've read my Bible, and I went to church almost every Sunday. Like if they were cleaning the windows at church, like we were there, and I went on all these youth trips, and I did all this, and I remember Emily looking over at me and like, just dumbfounded. And so Fred just goes, okay. And he asked Emily, and she said, well, I don't deserve it. Like I'm saved by faith through grace, and goes on this huge spiel. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I believed in God. I never doubted that there was a God, but I guess never understood the gospel, which is crazy because as I was saying, I was in church all the time. And that's just, a testimony to how your heart is hardened if you're not a believer. Your heart is hardened and it has to be softened by the Spirit, and so by the Lord working in your life. And so that made me realize that I did not understand the gospel, and so truly started digging then. And then I don't know that there was a specific date that it happened, but I realized that. And another thing, when I was in church here, which I'm so thankful for this church. I'd love to get on a rabbit trail talking about the church here, but
let's do it. Yeah, go ahead.
But one of the things the pastor said, he said, if you're a believer, you have the Holy Spirit inside you, and that should radically change the view of yourself, the view that you have of yourself. And so that was just digging constantly. And also, which last time I heard you preach, you did this as well, but this church is very big on expository preaching, which if anybody out there listening doesn't know, is where you are like reading out of the passage. This is not a church where you can go to where you forget your Bible. If I forget my Bible on a Sunday, I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Because, he references every verse as he's preaching it, and he'll read a verse, then he talks about it, and then he goes back to that verse and this voice. You see her in verse 7, this, and I grew up in just churches where a lot of times it was like the pastor wanted to talk about, X topic, and they would try to find a verse to talk about that. And so I just think that a lot of times it seemed counterfeit, or they're looking through it. But I started digging a lot, just getting into the Word. And I believe when I first started going to church, they were going through 1 Corinthians. And so, obviously the church in Corinth was pretty wicked. And so it made me see the sin in myself, thankfully, and recognize my absolute need for a Savior. And I think just somewhere in that time is where it happened. And started living faithfully and thankfully on the road to sanctification, and got baptized by you, which was a very sweet moment. And just it was really good. It was it was a long road, and I am a testament to, I mean, if I would have, I think, it's one of those things. I think I probably could have died at 23 years old and gone to hell. And I went to church 95% of Sundays, went on all the youth trips, all the college trips, everything. And I'm just a testament that it's more than sitting in a pew on Sunday. It's about more than that. And
and even beyond that, more than your parents' faith, because like your folks,
exactly.
Dude, you hit the jackpot. You hit the, I mean, you're not going to find two finer people than your mom and dad. And in every way, like I've been with them in so many contexts. And they're always the same. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what you're doing. They're always, they're just solid. So my point in that is it's beyond your grandparents' faith, or it's beyond your parents' faith. It's beyond just church attendance. It is that personal interaction. So what is it about your church where you are now that you love so much? Let's talk about that a little.
Yeah. So I think that the main thing that we truly enjoy and are blessed by is that they every Sunday read the Word, pray the Word, and preach the Word, sing the Word. And so it's I like Christian radio, but some of the songs are just kind of saying I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, the whole time. And it's like those hymns that were written in the 1700s, they've stuck around for a reason. They're just rich with theological truth and just God's character. And so being a part of the band there, playing every couple Sundays, just when I first went, my first Sunday that Emily took me, we so I remember going in there and thinking, this music, I don't know about this music. But then the preaching, like I said, was right here. Just in the Word, and so a book I read later really convicted me of that, because I shouldn't go to a church and decide on what, because we were she had been going to the church there. They were a meeting in a theater or something, I think, and ended up joining with a bigger church, which that's a whole other story that I'd love to get into. But one of the books I was reading, actually with one of our pastors, it was like, you shouldn't look for a church based on whether you like what the preacher does or if you like the songs. It should be whether or not the songs and the preaching are glorifying Christ. And so that was very convicting to me. But another thing that I really like is we have these community groups. And so I just became a community group leader this starting in August. When our semester goes. So it goes from like the end of August, because everybody's busy with school stuff, to December 4th, I think was our last meeting. And then we'll pick back up late January. But our community group, other than two couples, everybody lives, from the spot I'm sitting right now, everybody lives within a half mile. And there are 28 people in the group. And so it's based off your location. And so we have a group chat, and it's like, hey, I need help moving your fridge. Hey, I'm running to Home Depot. Do you want to go with me and talk? And so it's just such community. We babysit for each other, which is a huge blessing, because out of the 28, 13 are kids. Wow. And so we got a lot of kids. So it's just rich, just fellowship that we have. And so we have what Emily and I talked through and decided on was that we were going to do a 3-week rotation. And so one Tuesday everybody meets here, we'll cook a meal, eat together, and then we'll read the Word, we'll play a song, and then pray together. But with 13 kids, that can be, of those 13 kids, 10 of them are under the age of 5. So with Obi being the youngest. So between 7 months and 5, we've got 10 of those kids. So they can be a little crazy. So what we do the next Tuesday is we do a guys' night. So what we do for our guys' night, we go to a local pub right here and have a beer and talk through everything and talk about how we can pray for each other, and we commit to praying for each other that week. And the next Tuesday, the girls meet, because we've found that it's pretty difficult to have intentional conversations with that many kids around and having to worry about all the kids, going around. So we have a 3-week rotation. So one, we call it whole group is here. Then we have a guys' night, then we have a girls' night. And so a lot of times even the girls' night, like the guys will get together with the kids and hang out. And so it's just rich community that we have here, and we're very thankful for it. And there's something else I was going to say about community group. So then on during the semester, we meet with what is called a cohort, which is 3 of the community groups together.
Wow.
Meet on a Sunday morning for like a Sunday school type thing. And so this past when we went through Jonah, the book of Jonah, which I had never really, I knew he got swallowed by a whale. He was supposed to go to Nineveh, but I didn't necessarily know all the story. And so being able to, like, they gave us a commentary to go through, and I was able to teach on one of the Sundays. And so it was really, really neat going through that together.
He was a turd. He was a real turd.
Because, like, it arguably, like, super racist as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like, was upset that God didn't destroy his enemies.
Yes.
And then wanted to die because he didn't.
God, exactly.
I mean, it's like, not only am I not okay that you didn't destroy them, I don't want to live in a world where you didn't destroy them. So please kill me.
Yeah.
Asked multiple times to die.
Yeah. A real turd.
It's a crazy story. Crazy story.
Has it ever dawned on you that, like, in nursery school, like, we celebrate some of the worst stories? So, like, how many nurseries and churches have you walked into and there's like a wall-sized mural of Noah and all the animals?
Yeah, let's get drunk and get
walk
naked and
you walk in and you look up and there's Noah, and you're like, don't you realize that everybody died? Everybody, other than the people on that boat, nobody lived. The whole world died. Why don't we paint that mural on our nursery wall? I think it's because of the animals, probably. But then Jonah and the whale, because they sing the nursery rhyme of Jonah and the whale, Because maybe it's the animals. Maybe it's some connection to animals. But there's this thing that I've noticed about nursery rhymes and nursery stuff in churches, and it's like you pick the worst, some of the worst.
Yeah, I just don't think about the full story. I mean, because like you're saying, with Noah, what's the first thing he does when he gets on dry land? He builds a vineyard, gets drunk, gets naked, his sons walk in on him, and he's so ashamed that he like curses his sons because they walked in on it. Like, it's just, And
that's the other thing, I need to reel this back in because we're fixing to get full-blown biblical, but the other thing is people that don't take time to read the Bible, like actually read the Bible, like if you like murder mysteries, it's in there. If you like dramas, it's in there. If you like love stories and romance, it's in there. Like anything, any is that a genre? Any genre of movie or whatever that you could want to watch on Netflix, it's in there.
It's pulled from, like, all the great authors all love the Bible for that. They pull from it inspiration, all the stories. Yeah, I was just reading, I'm in 1 Samuel now, so I actually read David and Goliath this morning, which is another one that gets taken out of context.
Yes.
But, there was something with, it may have been Judges or something, and somebody gets stabbed, and the whole knife goes inside the guy's body, like the entire knife.
Oh, fat belly.
Yeah.
Oh, fat belly.
I was just reading that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, so we have a discipleship pastor who's an awesome guy. You'd love him. But so he was training us as the community group leaders to lead for our groups and for our cohorts. And one of the things that he said, which I thought you would appreciate, is he's big on discipleship. Obviously, he's a discipleship pastor, but he said that how you really know you have community with somebody, how you really know that you're doing life with someone is if they walk in your house and fix their own drink, or they're comfortable enough to take a nap on your couch. Yeah. And I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, oh, that's Bentley. That's Bentley. Yeah. He'd love for somebody to come in his house and make their own drink,
Yeah, just be. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And that, so that segues perfect. I mean, you talk about community groups, and of course, the Simplify Project. It's taken us 6 years, dude, to drill into what I think God's actually doing with the project. Brandon, you and I were talking about my friend Brandon before we came on air. Dude's awesome. And he's got a project. He's doing some work with 3-chord crossing, this thing that he and his family are doing. It's really, really cool. But it's interesting the way that his work and mine, outside of vocational ministry are paralleling, because the Lord placed this 3-chord project deal on his heart. And he's like trying to take steps of obedience, but not super clear on what he's to be doing.
Yeah.
And from 2018 until last spring, that's kind of how the Simplified deal was. And at first I'm like, so are we an apparel company? Is that what we're about? And that was like, nah, because I don't have a sense of style or the care or the drive to like stay trendy and cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is, community, literally, I believe the work that we're doing is about building authentic community and connecting people, like to let like-minded people know that there's other like-minded people kind of in the same vein. And you don't have to be in vocational ministry. You can have 2 very full-time jobs as a teacher and as a woodworker and still be investing yourself in the lives of others and the vulnerability, just that currency of authenticity. It's paramount to real relationship. And so it's awesome that not only are you calling them community groups, there's actual community. I mean, for somebody to come in your house and be comfortable enough to pull a glass out, get some ice, and pour a drink, I would say that's a great metric. I don't know how I would feel about somebody sleeping on my couch. I guess if we were hanging out and they were weary and just fell off to sleep, it'd be okay. If I came in from outdoors and there was somebody sleeping on my couch,
okay, that's different. Yeah,
I think I'd have questions. But I like the drink. So you are playing music there then? You're leading worship some?
Yes. Yeah, we just had our big Christmas sing last night. That's a lot of fun. So we read through the birth of Christ and sing songs that align with it. And so it's an hour, and we play, I guess, 15 songs. We had 13 musicians that we filter in and out, and so we're all just switching instruments and four people singing on every song. So it's just one of my favorite days of the year. Oh, it's so
Was
great.
it recorded?
So
Can we find it?
It was recorded, yeah.
How can I find it?
I'll send you a YouTube link.
Okay.
One of the guys in our church is an audio engineer, and so we finally figured it out to where it'll do like the 18 different tracks or whatever, and so he's going to try to mix it to make it sound better, but I know you won't mind that, so I'll send it to you.
No, I won't. And there was one, it filters, I don't know if it's last year or the year before, but it seems like every so often it'll filter through, but it's you and 2 other people.
Oh, yeah.
You're in a chapel or something?
Yes, we got it. It was really, really old building. Gosh, probably the 1800s, maybe 1700s. And they got it totally remodeled, so we call it Daniel Chapel now. Okay. So the inside had been remodeled, but no furniture was in there, so the acoustics were just incredible. You could clap, and it would go on for 6 seconds. It just sounded like you could just hear it the whole time. So yeah, we set up a mic in there and recorded a couple songs. So that the other guy, that's John Ross. He's our associate pastor and worship leader. And then Dana was the girl, and she has an amazing voice. She sings and plays piano.
She could sing.
Yeah.
I mean, all of you can, but it makes me cry. Like it literally makes me weepy listening to those recordings. So that's awesome that you're exercising that gift in that way still.
Yeah, it's been a big blessing to be able to serve the church in that way, and I don't have I don't know if pressure is the right word. I guess pressure, you should have some pressure if you're in charge of shepherding the people and leading worship, but I am able to worship up there and to be able to serve the church in that way, to be able to use the gifts that God has given me has been a huge blessing. Going back to that video you were talking about, the 3 of us, I forget how many I think we recorded 4 songs. They put 2 or 3 of them out, but the It Is Well one, if you watch the very last probably 3 seconds, I back off the mic and put my head down, and I started crying. And that was also the day that I found out that Papa had passed away.
Oh, wow.
My grandpa.
Yeah.
So I was already kind of emotional, but then, gosh, just that song is so I actually sang it at his funeral or I guess a week later, but it's a beautiful song.
Yeah. Oh,
One more thing about the church. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
So
not at all. You don't apologize.
Oh, you're talking
That's
about Daniel Chapel.
That's the beautiful thing about having a podcast where there are no show notes and no script.
Yeah.
This is what the people. This is what the people want. Yeah.
I'm a little structured now to where I was nervous about that, but now that I'm in the flow of it, I don't want to be stopped.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So our executive pastor told us a couple weeks ago that. So what happened was they were meeting in I say theater, we'll just call it a theater. They had basically didn't have a church building, had a growing population of members. Mm-hmm. They called it Berea. That's where Emily went. I never got to go to Berea. The church I go to now, Crawford Avenue Baptist, they had a huge and beautiful building, very similar to First United Methodist. Mm-hmm. No members. Everybody's dying out or left.
Oh, man.
And so it's very rare, but the church is merged. And so they didn't even have a pastor, Crawford Avenue, but they were praying to merge with another church and prayed that the Lord would bring their church young couples.
Wow.
And prayed for kids and for young couples that worship the Lord and serve the Lord, and that they'd be able to disciple. Flash forward, I guess it's been close to 7 years since we've merged, and I went in the first year of the merge. So the first Sunday in the new sanctuary, I was there, and our executive pastor told us the other day that there were 24 members at Crawford Avenue that were praying for the kids and the young families, and in our church currently, this is just of members of our church, there are 44 kids under the age of 2. Wow. And so that is just young families. God, I know. It's so, it's crazy to hear. I saw a meme going around, and, obviously take it with a grain of salt, but it said, in a church service, I forget how they worded it, but basically, if you can hear men singing and worshiping and hear babies crying, that it's a sign of a healthy church. And our church there are babies crying constantly. The first time my parents visited, they were like just looking around the whole time. I was like, what's going on? And they're like, there are so many babies here. And I had just muted it out, All of us we know we got young kids. It's going to be loud. We just don't worry about it. But so it's really beautiful that they were praying for young couples in the church. And now we've got 44 kids under the age of 2. And I bet if you made that to the age of 5, there might be over 100. There are so many kids. Yeah.
But that comes from prayer.
Yes, yeah. They were dedicated.
That doesn't come from strategic think tank groups and all this other nonsense. Mm-mm. It comes from people getting on their face at the foot of the throne and asking God specifically.
They prayed for years
for that. Place of humility and that. There's going to be some people. So I have started working on my doctorate, and I'm in this cohort, working through this, and it's church planters. It's church renewal and church planters and people who are really rethinking church and what might that look like and how do we reach unchurched people. And so when they hear this segment of this podcast, they are going to get fired.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. And that should not be, so like you all should not be the exception. That should be the norm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really encouraging going to church with that many young families who are invested. And like I said, I could say right now it's 8 o'clock, 7:30. I could say to my community group, hey, can somebody come help me in the shop tonight? And I could probably have a couple people volunteer. Like just, they're so involved in each other's lives and know everything, praying for each other, committed to praying for each other, babysitting, which, like I said, is a huge thing for our church with that many kids, being able to have a date night with your spouse and love on them and serve them in that way. So we were very blessed to have a church, and I can't imagine not. I mean, it's so filling to go every Sunday and Wednesday, and it's great.
Yeah, not something you have to do, but something you want to do.
Oh yeah. If we go home, even like we would have normally gone home this Friday after Emily gets off work and going to Warner Robins for church, or going to Warner Robins for Christmas. I was like, I don't want to miss 2 Sundays in a row, so we're going to stay for the Christmas Eve service, and then we'll leave after that.
And then head out.
Just got to tell BB and Granddaddy that they won't see their grandkids till later.
So
they just kept them for a week.
Shift gear a little bit. I want to. I don't want to run out of time. This is so freaking good. So 2 things: teaching and woodwork. So I have a question. Is teaching ministry, like for you, and coming alive in Christ? We have at our local church here, the church that Stacy and I are serving now, pretty high number of educators and people who are in education, many of which view teaching as ministry, even though they're in the public school system, maybe can't be as forward or outspoken, but very much their approach to teaching, they view teaching as ministry. How does that land with you? Yeah,
so I think teaching, like I teach 6-year-olds, they turn 7 throughout. So that's one of those things where I'm trying to be a living testimony. So like as an example, I probably don't mention my faith to them as much as I should, like if something comes up, but I do talk to them every now and then. And I know like one of the kids that I taught last year, I'm friends with his mom on Facebook, and I saw a couple weeks ago that he got baptized at his church. And so he came in, I was just talking with him. I was like, hey, so what does that mean to be baptized? And so he walked through, and I was like, hey, he said, I said, what does it mean to be baptized? And he said, oh man, I forgot what he said. He said basically, which is what I was taught about baptism, is that it's your wedding ring. He said it's just a symbol that you are a believer. And I was like, man, you're parents, you got it. But with the teachers there, that is an awesome opportunity. I probably 4 years ago, we had within a week had 2 deaths in the 2 people's parents had died. And so it was just the whole vibe of the school was kind of gloomy and everything. And our media specialist, who is a believer, and we have a lot of conversations, she called to do a prayer meeting after school one day. And so I went, and she gave us, which I thought was really cool, she gave us slips of paper to commit to praying to, and to like go physically to that place then and pray. And so I went with my first grade team, which I don't know that they'll listen to this, but that was a 4 years ago group. So I would say that maybe 2 of them are believers. Okay. So we went to each door on that hall and prayed over them. And I just felt really convicted. I was like, man, I've been at school for 2 years and haven't really shown my faith as much. Like I think people would probably know I was a Christian, but I'm not like living it, and I'm not bearing fruit here. And so I committed that next Monday, and it was so strange at first, and they looked at me like I was crazy. I committed that Monday to go around to each of the first grade teachers every week and ask them how I can be praying for them that week. And that has turned into 3 years later to other random like a 4th grade teacher coming down the hall and say, hey, my mom's having surgery tomorrow, can you pray for her? And I was like, yes, absolutely. Wow. And so it's turned into that, which is really neat. And something that I got from you, actually, that I thought meant a lot when you first texted it to me. I think I was asking for prayer about something, and you said praying now, which I obviously, as growing up in the church and stuff, people say, oh, I'm praying for you. And I would say that to people, and I know I wasn't praying for them. And so if somebody texts me, that can you pray for this, which happens a lot now, thankfully, like that people text me all the time about praying for them in the school. I say praying now, and I stop what I'm doing and I pray for them. And it's also gotten to the point where I think last Monday I forgot to walk around and ask them when they were praying, and one of them got on to me. I was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. But so that's just been really neat to be able to share my faith in that way and be able to know or ask them how I can pray for them, and to walk through just living that life with them. And they're obviously all girls, and so I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm like leading them as I would Emily, but just being able to show them how people can be praying for them and how their husbands can pray for them. And it's just been a really sweet time to be able to do that for them. And to be able to, just pray for them.
I would not have thought of your coworkers. I'm thinking like, how do you influence a kid or maybe the parents of the kid? The coworker route is awesome.
Yeah, I am one of, I think, 3 other males there. So
in the whole school?
90 some. Oh, I'm sorry. We have 2 custodians now that are males. So 5 males in the entire school.
Wow.
Out of 90 something employees. So
yeah.
Wow. They know that. And then we had a new teacher come on their first grade team this year, and so my first time meeting her, I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, my name's Michael," and she said, "Hey, told me her name and said, I've heard a lot about you." And I said, "Oh gosh, hopefully not too much." And she said, "I've heard that you'll pray for me." I said,
"Oh wow,
I will do that. I will pray for you." And so I walk around every Monday morning and see how I can be praying for him that week. And it started off as like, a couple of them that I would say are not believers. I guess you can never truly know somebody's heart, but and they were like, "Well, I don't know how you can pray for me, and I don't know what to say. I don't know, and now it gets to the point where even if it's like their kid's sick, they'll say, "Oh, my kid's sick. Can you pray for them?" Or, "I just want everybody to be healthy for Christmas," and so I'll pray for them in that way. So it is neat to see.
That's awesome, dude. What a great thing to be known for. I mean, if you meet somebody for the first time and they're coming on your team or part of your cohort or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, your reputation precedes you. You're the guy that prays." There's a lot worse things.
Could be worse.
The other thing, the praying now deal. So tell me if you run into this, but this should not be, this should be normal. This should, whatever normal means, this should not be the exception. But how freaked out do people get when you stop, like when you're in person, and they're like, "Hey, would you be praying for me, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "Yeah, let's pray now.
Let's do it."
And you just put a hand on their shoulder and start to pray over them. And they're like, okay.
Okay.
And it's like, that should not be like unusual. That should be, that should very much be the norm. And it's interesting when that happens in private versus in public. So like when you're on the front lawn of the church, if that happens versus if you're standing in the middle of a busy restaurant.
Yeah.
And just the reaction and the way people are. But it's interesting when we pray, things move. God moves. Things shift would have been the better way to say that. God moves and things shift. The power of prayer it cannot be understated, in my opinion. Awesome, dude. I'm proud of you, man. That's awesome.
It's been a big blessing to me. Like I said, I was super nervous to do it. I even now, like, I need it's Monday. I need to go around. And what I do is I pray for them on the way to work. So if, like one of them, their mom had a surgery last week. And so on the way to work, I can, ask Siri in my truck, say, text this person, and how's your mom doing? Or is there an update on your mom? And a few of them, one of their moms got sick with cancer a couple years ago, ended up passing away. And so that was, it was tough, but it was a sweet opportunity to be able to pray for them and to, I think that it freaked them out too, the things I was asking for, because like I was obviously asking that her mom would get better, but I was asking for the Lord's will to be done and for good to come out of this, for people that may not know you, Father, to be able to come to know you through even through this death, if that's what it if that's what it means, that you would be honored and glorified through this. And they're like looking at me like, what?
You're not supposed to pray that.
Yeah. But yeah, prayer is really powerful. There's actually, if I tilt the screen this way, this guy right here, you can't even see anything from this angle. I guess you see one little sheet of paper. That was something that Emily and a girl she was discipling a few years ago, they prayed together for a year, and that's all answered prayer, written on sheets of paper in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really neat.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Discipleship, it's a huge thing in our church as well, thankfully.
What does that look like
after-
in your church? What does that process look like in your church?
So it's just encouraged a lot, and so I guess I can tell you what it looks like, or what it has looked like in my life. So Fred, that I was saying we did premarital counseling with, we went through a book together. It was through Mark, I believe. I think it's called Christianity Explained. Have you heard that?
No.
No? Okay. It's just a book you go through. I think it's through the Gospel of Mark. But so that helped me in learning who Jesus was, his character, and how he was and how he is. And and then my buddy Ross that you met, he was in my wedding. So he was a replacement groomsman technically, which at this point in my life I'm very thankful, because I'm probably
Poor
closer
Ross.
to him than I am than any of them. Yeah, but he started discipling. We met every Tuesday morning, and I didn't even know it was discipleship at first. I thought we were just meeting, hanging out, but we were walking through that because that was when Emily and I were engaged. We weren't even married yet, and so we met every Tuesday morning for probably 4 years. And now we meet every other Friday. But
Wow.
it is truly amazing to see, because that was definitely he is discipling me, just walking me through things in what I can expect in marriage, and how I should handle this in marriage, and how I can lead, and how I can do family worship, and all these different things. And now this is by no means of my own. It's just the Lord working in my life now that relationship is more like this.
Amen.
And I have somebody that I'm discipling now, and he has somebody he's discipling now, and that's not me saying that. Like, we've talked about how that has occurred, and is just a beautiful thing where he'll say something now, and I can provide wisdom and guidance based off things I've read in the Word, or point him to Scripture in this way. And so that's just been
As
really
it
sweet
should
to do.
be.
And
That is as it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Emily has been discipled by multiple ladies in the church, and discipled others, and it's a huge encouragement to me in discipling others and reaching out. So me as a community group leader, I try to meet with all the guys in my group, apart from our where we go to the bar and talk. And talk about praying in public. We pray in that bar.
Awesome. Yeah,
Shut it down.
so my friend Travis, who was on last week, he has a ministry, Sacred Ale. I don't know if you caught that episode, but
I did.
Built an entire ministry around meeting in a pub. Or Luke, who was on. Luke is amazing. Now you would love Luke. Luke,
Remind me of what he was talking about, because I think
he's the guy that had he had a ministry in the prison, and he had a ministry in a pub, and the dude in his pub ministry had a brother in prison.
No, you can't.
And he's like, the dude in the prison was like, I'm not going to that guy's meeting. And the dude's like, why not? He's like, because he meets in a bar. And Luke's like, dude, you're in prison. Like, what? I mean, Jesus is Jesus. It doesn't matter exactly. So those two guys are from my cohort that I was telling you about. That's the kind of guys.
Okay, so y'all went to school together.
Yeah, and so you know me. We've been together long enough. You know that, like, I am fully alive in that. When I get with those guys, and there's 15 or 16 people right now at some point, at some place in the 6 semesters, 3-year process, and we all get together, and it's awesome. It's so encouraging because nobody is poo-pooing on the inherited church, but everybody's like really fired up about new expressions of ministry and how do we reach unchurched people in non-conventional ways. And really, really cool. Really cool. So, all right, so shifting then to the woodwork. So everybody asked me, can you pan down so they can see your hoodie? So this logo, for everybody that's actually watching this on YouTube, if you're not, go check it out. If you're just listening, this logo, so I have a couple shirts that I wear, has MacArthur Woodworks on them. I cannot tell you how many people stop me and ask, not just people that I know, like friends, that are like, dude, that's freaking cool. What is that? But I'll be walking through, like, not even not even the context of like Lowe's or Home Depot where you got maybe woodworkers. I'll be walking through, I don't know, Walmart, but like the grocery store section of Walmart.
Yeah.
And people are like, cool shirt. That's an awesome shirt, man.
I've never gotten that. What the heck?
I'm like, what am I wearing? I look down. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is my guy. And so I tell him like, go to Instagram. He's got 10,000 followers, or you're way past that now. But that's what I tell people. That's my tagline. I'm like, go to Instagram and find him. He's got 10,000 followers. So the woodworking deal has kind of morphed, and you've made your way into this niche. I mean, God has really, really blessed you all through the woodworking thing. Let's talk about that a little bit. You leaned into it. I remember the farmhouse table. I remember when it was being built. And are you all still using it?
Yeah. I actually built a big desk the other day and finished it on top of my table, and I'm like, oh gosh, this thing's a piece of junk. But Emily has sentimental value, but I'm going to build us a new one this coming year. That's on my list of things to do.
Okay.
Big one.
You're going to make a video of it and do the whole
thing? I am going to do a YouTube video, yeah.
Good. I like those.
Buddies. One of my buddies at church, he's excellent videographer. Is that what you call it?
Yeah,
Cinematographer?
That's a thing.
Videographer? Yeah. And so we're trading some services so that he can do a YouTube video for me.
Awesome.
But yeah, the business really started. I made some of our friends here, Alex and Mark Willis. They weren't even married then. She showed me a video of somebody making something with epoxy, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And said that they wanted this big table, and I was like, well, I can't do that. But I started, I guess my whatever feed started showing me more epoxy videos, and I was like, okay, maybe I will try this. And so through spilled epoxy and lots of dollars spent, I made a board for my mom just for Mother's Day, and I posted a picture of it on Facebook, and within a couple days, I had 35 orders for a charcuterie board like that. And so I said, okay, well, maybe this is something I can do.
I never knew that. I never knew this.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it wasn't Mother's Day, it was her birthday, which is late September. So less than a month later, October 23rd, I decided, we prayed about it, we talked about it, I said, I'm going to do it. So by that time, I had the logo made and came out with the business. October 23rd, actually found out a year later was my, Grammy. It was her, one of her husbands, after Papa, that was a woodworker, that a lot of the tools that I have out here were his tools. And his birthday was October 23rd, which is just a cool little thing that lines up. But so it started with just making those charcuterie boards and formed into tables. And you know how my dad is. He's very mechanically and mathematically aligned.
Dude's
that's how he
borderline
thinks.
Genius, man.
Yeah, just Rain Man almost. But and I've always been on the more creative side. Like you said, I love to sing and draw and listen to music and pick out things in music. And
there's things you drew that are still hanging in the youth space. Did you know that? The other day, I don't remember who posted, maybe Easy posted something, because both of his girls are in youth now, which is crazy to think about.
It's so crazy.
Easy in L.A. Somebody posted something, but the We Are Free that you drew, it's still hanging in the big room. Yeah, I thought it made my day. I zoomed in. I was like, yes.
It's still there.
Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's good. Actually, haven't drawn anything in a while. Maddie, I'll draw little stuff for him, and he just thinks it's the greatest thing ever, so that's fun. But so I've always been very creative minded. My dad and brother, I would say, are very mathematically, this is how it has to happen, A plus B is C. And as I've gotten older, I have gotten a little more that way, but definitely still more creative. So the woodworking, especially with the epoxy even, I would say it's just a beautiful blend of that. And I feel like God is our creator. Or I don't feel like that. I know that God is our creator. And we are image bearers. And so in some sense, when I am creating, like the creation mandate, really, that's when I feel at peace. And I feel like I'm glorifying him through my work, and or even through good works, even, because I'm glorifying him in that and trying to serve people through through making them things that will be in their homes for hopefully a long time and that they can look at. And I chose, after looking through a lot of scripture, I chose Colossians 3:17 as like my tagline, and I put it on all my invoices that I send out to people, and so hopefully they see it. But so that's whatever you do, whether in word or deed. Yeah, so whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do so in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. So I feel like that was a good verse saying that whether I am, typing up invoices one day, I can do that to the glory of God and give thanks to him for having that ability, or whether I'm making a 6-foot-long black walnut table, I can do that to God's glory. And even the YouTube videos, like that's something that I try to, and that's just this is another tangent, but that is just how I know that the Lord has been at work in my life, because with my old YouTube videos, like singing and stuff, I was so self-centered. Gosh, it's amazing how the Lord shows you your sin and then forgives us when we repent. And so like the Holy Spirit just convicts us of our sin. Anyway, and I can glorify him through that. And when I'm creating, I feel like I'm glorifying him. And so it's been a really fun adventure. I love being out there. Like at the beginning of this podcast, we were talking about how I've got to ship something out for Christmas, but obviously there is some stress that comes with that. And I have had to take a step back because of that. But like I enjoy being out. I love being out there. There are a few projects that, are over my pay grade that stress me out some. But other than that, like I just truly enjoy the process of it. I've made, last December, I calculated it up, and either charcuterie boards or cutting boards, I had made 357 of them.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
I enjoyed making all of them, and just being able to go through. I made a folder in my phone now where every board I make, I put it into that one, so it keeps up with how many I've made, and I can see a picture of all of them and just see how I've been able to improve, and just through watching videos and working at it and honing it in.
I've got a black walnut board that I love, man. I have not brought myself, legal disclaimer, I've not brought myself to cut anything on it at all.
Well, you're not in the minority. I go into people's houses, and you're talking about the logo, so maybe this is where I get that.
Oh, I love it, yeah.
I always stamp the logo on the bottom,
yeah.
or what I would call the bottom, and I go into people's houses, and they have them turned around where the logo's there. And I'm like, well, if I'd have known you were going to do that, I'd have put it on the prettier side. So you do that too?
Oh, yeah, man.
So
I use it as a serving board.
There you go.
So like if we have guests over, I got a cutting board that I'll use. But then when I just present it, it's all on your board. Yeah,
that's sweet.
Oh yeah, it's freaking amazing, man. Yeah.
It's fun to be able to make those.
So from that, some of my favorite shots, and I don't know if this is gonna sound weird or not, but it's endearing. I love it. Like, I'm sure it's overwhelming, but you've got like 15 boards at once. But it's evident to me, like in this pictures, it's Emily's hands. Like, so you're taking pictures, but I can see like Emily holding a board or holding something. And I'm like, she's out there with him. Like she is the helpmate. I mean, she's right in there. And what a gift, not only for you to be able to create, but I know that you all built a new shop to have somebody that's backing you, supporting you, encouraging you, championing you to keep, take these steps, order that piece of equipment. If you need the piece of equipment, it's going to pay for itself. Order the piece of equipment, like upgrade if you need to.
Yes.
What a gift.
Yes.
I mean, just incredibly. So that's what I mean when I see her. I can tell that's not your hands when there's just a picture, a random picture or something. Or I'll watch, because everything you put out, I'll watch. Not in a creepy way, just in like just rooting for you. But everything that you put out, I'll watch, and I'll catch a snippet of her in a video or something out there, hands on helping. Dude, that makes me incredibly happy when I see that. I'm like dog pounding it,
She's amazing. So one of the most popular videos I have on YouTube is so last Christmas, thankfully, graciously, the guy ordered them in June, but he ordered 50 of the resin charcuterie boards for clients.
Oh my!
And so I had until Christmas. And so one of my most popular videos is us. I had probably at that point, probably 35 boards laid out, and we both had a bottle of oil, and I hit go, and we went and started just oiling how many we could. And you see me raise my hands at one point because I thought I had beat her. But yeah, that's one of my most viewed videos, her being out there. And she's, yes, gosh, so supportive. You talk about community. I would say that I do have some community in the woodworking community, I guess you call it. But so many of them are of the, I'm going to buy this tool and hope my wife doesn't see it, or I'm going to sneak this tool by my wife, or I'm going to pay this in cash so she doesn't see it. And Emily, I mean, gosh, it is so beautiful to be on the same page with everything. And for her to be able to say, oh, a saw stop that doesn't cut your fingers off? Okay, yeah, sure. Oh, it's $4,000? Yeah, just go ahead and get it. Yeah, if you got it, yeah, get it. And so we, worked for that, and you paid for a saw stop. And, I tell her that's the one that it won't cut your finger off if you,
which is
fall
true.
into it. And yeah, true.
Dude, those things, I've seen them run raw hot dogs up to the edge.
I almost want to do it. It's $80. I have an extra one in my shop that's $80. To do that test is basically you're paying $80.
Don't do it to your blades, or whatever.
Yeah, it would destroy your blade. Yeah.
Or whatever you got to replace in there. They say once it stops, you got to replace something. But
it's the thing that catches it. You have to replace your blade and the thing that catches it. So the thing that catches it is $80. So you have to $80 plus a blade.
All right. So anybody that's listening or watching this by chance, if you would like to see that done,
send me $80.
Yeah, or 80 people can send $1, right? Let's raise the money. Yeah, whatever.
I'll do it.
You want to chunk $2 or $3, $4, $5, $6, $8, $10, $40 in.
There we go. I'll do my actual finger for the $1,000.
No, we will not. No. But a raw hot dog. So on the sauce stop deals, I've looked at those. Oh gosh.
Thumbs up.
They can.
You did it again.
I know, man. Gabe's gonna get on to me because Gabe has told me how to fix that, and I haven't done it yet. But they run that hot dog up there, and it doesn't even nick the raw hot dog.
It's truly, I see, like even woodworker friends I have will post a picture, and it's of their finger, and it's got a little paper cut, and I know without reading the caption that their saw stop went off, and they touched their finger to the blade. And I mean, it's truly incredible technology. I don't understand how it works. I've shown it to my dad. Like, there's a really good slow motion YouTube video. I've shown it to my dad. He doesn't understand it. Like, it's just, I don't understand how somebody came up with that. But yeah, I actually bought last February. Emily likes making, I don't know if you've seen them, the baby blocks and the name plaques. People take pictures with their babies. She likes doing, that was all her idea. And so I actually bought a CNC, just a small like hobby CNC. And it's like you were talking about earlier, paid for itself over already. But she enjoys going out there and running the CNC, like the little robot. So, and she helped me sand all those boards, those 50 boards I was talking about last Christmas. So it's great to have her out there. They're all talking about like other woodworkers talk about how they go out in their shop to get away from their families. And like like I talked about earlier, I love being out there, but I obviously miss being with my family, and I feel guilty when I'm out there sometimes. But yeah, it's just, I've found very few woodworkers that are believers. I don't know if there's any correlation with that. Just, I don't know if there's any correlation, but I just have had a hard time being authentic with them, because they're like, oh, you had to hide that one from your wife, am I right? And I'm like, well, no, she was all for it.
She told me to buy it.
Yeah. So it's very, there's a disconnect there, but I'm working.
So I knew at one time you were considering, you were like torn-ish, and you were thinking maybe woodwork full-time, stepping away from teaching, or teaching part-time and stepping more into woodwork. Where are you in that? Just, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, so I would say after my 4th year teaching, I was ready to quit, not just because the business was doing very well, but it was a really tough year teaching. Okay. And we prayed through it. Like I really considered quitting then, but tough through it, prayed through it. Emily was very supportive, and that summer kind of got my fix with being able to woodwork all the time. That was, no, that was not before Maddie, but when he would take his nap, I'd go out in the shop and work during summer. But the next year, by the grace of God, had like the not only the easiest, but like the sweetest class I've ever had. And so that was just a big break, almost like a year-long break. Obviously, it's still tough and stressful teaching, and you have, all these different variables going on, but it was such a relief to have that. And then so I went ahead and did another year. So I'm in year 6 now. Miss Young, if you're listening to this, I love you. I'm going to go for 10 years is what I'm shooting for, teaching.
Is that
so
your
I can get
principal
vested.
Or your superintendent?
Yes, that's my principal.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think she probably knows that. But shooting for 10 years and get vested. And so then I can, pull a little bit of an income while I try to go full time. But there's obviously still 3.5 years before that.
Yeah.
Before that happens. So we're still praying through that and seeing what that would look like. But I do feel like, which this could go on a whole nother tangent if you want to, but I feel like for the last year and a half, I've been trying to prove it to myself mostly, but also Emily, that I could do it full time and, support our family. And got not even burnt out, but just got really overstressed. And I know you talked last episode that I can't believe I didn't reach out to you, because I know you talked about it all the time, but the anxiety and, thankful again for a pastor at my church, an elder that went through a book with me. I don't know if have you read When People Are Big and God Is Small?
No.
It's really good. But
for the
talked
past,
a lot about.
So I don't even know how many years. How old am I?
40.
So I'm 46. I started
46.
college undergrad when I was 33. So what's the math? 13 years. So for 13 years, all I've read is what I've been told to read, other than the Bible. So for 13 years, it's like you got to read this, and this, and write a paper.
That's
read
true.
This, and write a paper. So it's like I've probably, because I went straight through, I didn't take summers off. J term, I was in class, blitzing, full blitz. So there is a stack of books that
I can imagine.
So if you this is a compliment. So if you came to me and you're like, Ben, you have to read this book. You got to read this book, whatever it is, ABC, blah, blah, blah. If you handed it to me, or if you just kept on me, you got to read this book, I would purchase it, and it's in that stack.
In that pile, yeah.
Yeah, and so I took a year off after the Masters, but before going back, I got a good bit of them knocked out, but there's still some in that stack.
Yeah.
So... yeah, at some point, not only will I read that stack, but right this moment, with you saying this, big God, big people, little God, or whatever you just said,
basically,
I would have made a note, and then that would probably go in my list. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
One of the things I was meeting with at that time, he was my community group leader, somebody who had also discipled me. It was the guy I was singing with in the video, John Ross, one of our associate pastors. He was looking to step down from community group leader just because he has a lot on his plate as elder. He has his own podcast, Commuter Bible, and wanted me to lead it. And so I was just feeling very overtaxed and just had a lot going on. And so I just wanted to talk through that with him. I didn't want to come in saying, yes, I'm going to do it, or no, I'm not going to do it. And he just started asking me these questions that were just so interesting. And one of the things how I answered one is that I said that I feel like I'm a people pleaser, and it was more with the woodworking thing. I just want everybody to be happy with what they order. I don't want them to have to wait too long. And I'm 6 months out right now. People shouldn't have to wait that long on their table. And come to find out that we read that book together, and people pleaser is in some sense fearing man more than you're fearing God. And so I walked through that book with him in a discipleship setting, and it was just really sweet to see all of the there wasn't obviously any concrete examples in there of you've got 2 full-time jobs and 2 kids, and your day job has kids that their parents abuse them and verbally neglect them, and they're spitting at you, and all that you have to deal with, plus customers that want their orders, plus 2 young kids. And so I was just feeling anxious about a lot of different things. And so one of the things he told me, he said, so what's the worst thing that could happen? And he said, just start at a very macro level. And so I said, okay, well, if somebody's having to wait too long for this, they could get upset. He's like, okay, next. And so I said, well, they could cancel the order. He's like, okay. They could write a bad review. Okay, keep going. I would have to refund them for it. Okay, keep going. And so it just went all the way to, like, I'm in my grave. It is the worst thing that could happen. And by the grace of God, like, I am saved. And so I'm worshiping with heaven and with God at this point. And so it's like just really adds perspective to things that I was stressing over and anxious about. And that's not to say, like, that's a very recent thing. Like, we were going through that book in probably October. But so not to say that has been fixed by any means. It's still something I'm praying through every day. But just to be able to step back and look at it like that, I'm so thankful for him, somebody faithfully pouring into me just wisdom and being able to recommend a book like that I can pray through. One more thing real fast. Sorry. Discipleship. We talked about discipleship earlier.
Yeah.
I think that I want to encourage, I heard, I think we talked about earlier, it was Brandon, want to encourage men to do family worship with your family. That's really where discipleship starts, is in the home. And I can tell you that you will feel very strange doing it at first, and it's going to feel weird, and you'll feel nervous, but it is a beautiful, beautiful thing to hear. We at the Christmas sing last night, I was up on the stage, obviously, but Emily said that
you were on the platform.
I was on the platform. That's right, for influence. I almost said that when I said, okay, anyway. But Emily said one of the scripture they were reading, and they said Jesus, and Maddie looked at her, and he said, Jesus' birthday? Jesus' birthday? And so, because we've been going through an Advent reading in our time of family worship, it's just so sweet to have that time. We do ours right after dinner, and it's got to the point now where, you know, Maddie's still sitting in his high chair or whatever it is, and he's filthy, Obi's filthy, and, you know, we've got a million things going on, but we have that time where we can sit down, and usually we're reading the Word, we sing a song together, and then we pick somebody from the church directory and pray for them in addition to all of our normal things.
Man.
It is so sweet to do. Emily and I did it a while together, where we would just read a psalm after dinner. And I got to tell guys that I'm trying to encourage now that I'm discipling to lead their families in family worship. Like, I told them that we would set a phone between us at dinner so that I would just and have it flipped over, and so that I would remember, because it's one of those things that your wife, I think that they can obviously uplift you the most. Like an encouraging word can lift you up more than anybody else says it. But also, flip side of that, they can say something that can cut you deeper. I think just because they mean so much to you, you have such an intimate relationship with them. So if Emily ever even had to remind me to do it, it was like, oh gosh, I'm not leading my family well. I'm not doing, you know. So I tried to just say, like, remember it, set the phone between you, and we'd read a psalm. And then we got to the point where we'd read a psalm and we'd pray through the psalms. And like we were talking about earlier, some of them psalms are crazy. So praying through some of them things. But then just read another book that I would love to recommend to you. But it was just saying the importance of reading the Word as a family, singing the Word as a family, and praying the Word as a family. And so we've gotten in the habit of doing that since probably August, and it has just been so sweet.
Awesome,
so,
dude.
Sorry,
that will encourage Brandon. Like I was saying, I can't remember if we were on if we had hit record yet or not, but that dude's freaking solid.
Yeah, I said I wanted to jump on that call.
yeah. And maybe eventually, so I've got a list of people that I'm working through, just friends, like great friends, and the exciting part about this project is connecting people, like really and truly, to let others like-minded people know, like, there's a whole tribe of us. I mean, we may be scattered around geographically, but he listens to each of these. I know that he does faithfully. I meet with him every other Monday for lunch.
Oh, cool.
It's a great time and very much needed. But that will encourage him very much to know that you listened to that episode and that it blessed you.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
I was walking around in Publix like, yes, yes, yes. That's everything he was saying, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Come on, preach.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He and that dude, when we, not if we, but when we start to simplify like retreats,
Yeah, yeah.
he can put him and you and Connor together. That dude can freaking rip. I mean, he can play and sing and
Corey,
you talk
too.
about Corey, yes.
And,
oh my gosh.
Rev, yeah. I was trying to think of the name you
throw
called.
Rev in there, dude.
The quintet.
And Brooke can sing like a freaking bird. Anyway, so I had something I was fixing to say that was so good, and now it just left me.
You were talking about the Simplify Retreat when we get that together.
Yeah, when we get that together, I can't recall now, but to have all of you to I know what I was going to say. This is so good. So earlier you were talking about using my line of praying now. So I use your line all the time. So one time you told me, you said, it's good when you get chill bumps on your legs.
I don't remember saying that.
Do you even remember saying that? We were somewhere doing something. We were in a worship setting, and somebody just turned it loose, and the Spirit of God fell in that room. And you looked at me, and you were like, it's good when you get chill bumps on your legs. And I can't tell you how often I'll be in a room, and the Spirit of the Lord will move, and you can feel like neck or head, arms, but then there's times where all the way, like full body down through your legs. And I think, it's good when you get chill bumps on your legs. But my thought in that was there have been times where I've been in rooms where Brandon was leading worship or even teaching. He taught. We had a mixed group deal, our men's group, the men's group from his church and the men's group from our church. Occasionally we'll get together and have a big feed, and then somebody will teach and stuff, and he's a gifted teacher, incredibly gifted worship leader. So it'll be awesome. So at some point, this Simplify Retreat deal is going to happen, and all these people are going to end up in the same place at the same time.
All these families, it just needs to be like 6-8 months in advance. Just book something.
Oh, we're going to have to plan it way out, like a year ahead of time, and just say on this date for these days, 3 days, we're going to converge on this place, and it's just going to kind of be what it is, dude. It would be. We got to make that happen.
It's so cool.
Awesome. All right, so where can people find you? Like, what's the easiest way for people to connect and find you? Is it Woodwork through the Woodwork page, or how?
Yeah. My personal Facebook, I post something every now and then, but my personal Instagram, I saw the other day I hadn't posted a picture since Maddie was his first Halloween, so that was years ago. Yeah. But I have to keep up with the woodworking Instagram, and so that's enough of a chore. I get tired of that as it is. So that's the best place to find me. I would say Instagram. It's MacArthur Woodworks, MacArthur. MacArthur Woodworks. Emily came up with the name too.
Woodworks. Yeah.
Yep. I was going to do like MMM Woodworks or something, and Emily said, you should do MacArthur. And I was like, I like that. And so.
Yeah, it flows, and the shirt always, and I do mean always, gets compliments. That's wild that you don't get them.
The
next time it happens, as long as somebody doesn't freak out, I'm going to ask them if I can video.
Say,
can I get like a 10-second video so I can send this to the guy?
Yeah.
It might freak somebody out, but we'll see.
And then ask him if you can pray for him in the middle of Walmart.
Yeah, like right now. Can I put my hands on you and pray over you?
How can I be praying for you?
Yeah. So MacArthur Woodworks, they can find you Instagram and Facebook, YouTube channel. There's some legit stuff on your YouTube. And I got to get you and my friend here, Jake, hooked up.
Is that the one you sent me with the huge slabs?
Yes, he's got slabs for days, man, and I think that everything. I mean, he's got black walnut slabs that'll make your mouth water. I mean, yeah.
I'll be there this weekend.
If we could get you up here just to look, but there are some that have, like what's the verbiage, like
holes, voids in them.
Yeah,
voids and cracks.
And
bug holes.
He could backfill those with some epoxy, but he's wanting to do like countertops, tables, like big woodwork, and we built a jig to where he can take a router. We built
router sled,
like an enormous jig. To where he can take a router and plane them. Really cool work.
Familiar.
We got to get you and Jake hooked up. We got to get you and Brandon hooked up.
Brandon called me.
So, Brandon, reach out. He will now. Now that when he hears that, he'll call you. So awesome, dude. I won't take any more of your time. You told me before you came on, like when you hang up from here, you're going to the shop, Christmas orders.
Kiss my babies good night and then go. Yeah, it's been a blast. It's so fun to catch up.
You have blessed me just in this hour and a half. Thank you.
It goes
gives
both
me
ways.
Incredible hope, man. So good.
A selfish, centered kid. Yeah, come to faith.
It was always the glory was always in there, though. That's which now dealing with young people. Like I know it's first graders, but even teenagers at your church. Like you can look at a kid and you're like, this sucker's going to be a world beater. If I don't kill him, if I don't literally choke him out, he's going to be a world beater. But no, that thank you for the time and for the encouragement. I can't wait to hang out with you. So we're going to get together, I guess, for Charity's deal.
2 weeks.
Going to be a glorious night. I guess I heard, so they're getting married at the Cox Capitol Theater, I think.
Capitol Theater, yeah.
Capitol Theater.
Playing. You playing?
And I don't know that I'll play, but I am going to be full out. Everybody's going to be like, they're going to have instruments. Musicians. And is Jacob Davis coming?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
They're really missing an opportunity not to just make this wedding a play. Charity, are you listening? Just make it a play, a big production, and we can all sing a part.
At the very least, record what's happening on that stage. That is a stage. Cool. It's not a platform.
That stage, yeah. All about me. I was kidding.
But lay it down and record that because there's going to be some gold in there, man.
Yes, they have so many talented friends. Gosh, it's gonna be fun. I'm
really gifted.
I told him I need to go way before all the other people. I don't want to have to go before Connor or Jacob Davis or somebody.
Yeah, or
go after him.
Or everybody at once. The wait is a must. At some time, at some point,
singing
everybody, Drew, Charity, the whole bunch need to be up there.
That'd be fun
for the wait. All right, dude, I'll let you be. You got to come back on at some point. Maybe we can. I don't know how to do it because I'm not tech savvy, but maybe we could like link up 2 or 3 people. I've never thought about that.
Share the link with more people.
Let's try it. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
All right. I can't wait to see you and hug your neck.
Wait, are you not going to ask me the question? Then you're going to have to say,
you
forgot to do it.
It would have been you and Gabe.
You forgot to do it. The last one I listened to, Travis. You forgot to do it then.
Travis did it. No, he did it. Travis.
Oh, you're right. I remember looking at the podcast and it was like a minute left. And I was like, he's not going to ask him. He's not going to ask him. He's going to have to say like Gabe.
I asked him. Gabe is the only one I forgot. I would have just forgotten you, dude. Thank you.
I didn't want to be mentioned on every podcast.
You would be from here out. It would be you and Gabe, which is pretty good company. Okay, let me reel this back in. All right, Michael. Everybody talks about in this podcast how they like it because it's just 2 guys hanging out and they get to join in. Yeah. This has been that, probably more so than any since Connor. Okay, Michael. Michael MacArthur Meeks. The name of this podcast is the Keep It Simple podcast. How do you keep it simple?
So I talked a lot about stress and having a lot of different jobs and responsibilities. I think the thing that helps me to keep it simple is to have everything aligned to where it is kingdom focused. Everything is kingdom focused. Eternal mindset is what I would call it. Eternal mindset. So that's in my marriage, a little scuffle is not going to matter then. So we're on the same page. We're both trying to glorify God with our marriage. So eternal mindset. Raising our kids, you have to be patient with kids and you can't blow up on them and spank them when you're upset, that type of thing. So have a kingdom mindset with that eternal mindset. So in my jobs, just be able to glorify God through having an eternal mindset with everything that comes towards me. I think that would be the way that I keep it simple.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was a blast. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Hug Emily, hug the boys.
I will.
I'll see you in like a week or two. I don't even remember,
2 weeks?
man. Yeah, 2 weeks.
When are you coming to Warner Robins?
25th, yeah. So we'll do Christmas.
Oh, Christmas Day.
Christmas Eve morning is regular service, and then that night's a candlelight.
Okay.
And then, like 5 a.m. the next morning, throw the boys in the car.
Okay, there you go.
Can't
Are you
wait
driving?
For you to see the boys. Yeah,
Oh, I
Rick's
can't
a
wait.
freshman in college.
Gosh, he looks so big. He's taller than me is probably. Some of these kids.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
It's crazy, man.
So we'll be in Warner Robins from the 24th through Charity's wedding. So we need to.
Awesome.
Some of us should get together before the wedding.
And I would love to see your folks. I'm going to be in Warner Robins at least for the rehearsal. I think the rehearsal's at Trinity.
Okay.
So at some point that day, which is the day before the wedding, I'm going to be in Warner Robins at some point. I don't know the schedule, but I'd love to see your folks. I'd love to grab a meal or whatever, just hang out would be awesome.
Come look at the Mickey shop. It's a man
shop.
shop.
I've seen like vague pictures, but not real pictures.
Just because you were out there playing Capture the Flag and Spike, all the different things. Just seeing it out there now, it's like a monstrosity. I would love to have it.
Maybe that's what I need to do is come see you.
Yeah, just come over. Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
We'll be there.
All right. Talk to you soon. I love you.
All right. Love you too, man. Appreciate it.
See ya.